Good morning, everybody, those present in person in the session hall of the Supreme Court of the Philippines. We'd also like to extend a warm welcome to those who are attending virtually. This will be a first time in the history of the Philippine Bar Association wherein our oath-taking will be done virtually. We are also extending a warm welcome to our attendees from the New York State Bar Association. I know that it's quite late where you are, so your presence really is something that we welcome and we appreciate. And without further ado, I would like to call our outgoing president, Jose Perpetuo Lutilla, to call this session in order.
With the leave of the Honorable Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, I hereby call this meeting of the Philippine Bar Association to order.
Thank you very much, our outgoing President, Jose Perpetuo Lutilla. May I ask all those attending in person to please stand up for the national anthem, to be followed by the Supreme Court hymn, and then the PBA anthem, and please remain standing also for the invocation.
Sim. PBA, heirs to a glorious past, kindred and noble purpose, to blaze the future's path. Let us be the shield against lies and oppression. Let us be the light to bring justice home. Through time we have stood constant, faithful to our oath, champions of the oppressed, guardians of the truth. Under our watch, let no one be denied. Under our watch, let no one be deprived. Our fight for justice is a fight that we shall wage with fervor and honor to the very
Carmen Jody Villarreal Fernando to give the invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering our professional and legal family, the Philippine Bar Association, physically in the Supreme Court of the Philippines and remotely in the respective offices and homes in the Philippines, in New York, and other parts of the world. We thank you for the outgoing officers and trustees who shepherded the association through these extraordinary times. They successfully pivoted the work of the association to reach even greater heights. We thank you for our incoming officers and trustees and request for them your continuing guidance and protection. We thank you for the members, old and new, who support the ideals of the association and the rule of law. We thank you for our colleagues, guests, family, and friends who share their time and resources for this gathering. We pray especially that you bless and guide all who are physically here and virtually here. We especially ask you to bless and protect our honorable guest, Chief Justice Alexander Hasmundo, who has generously hosted us in these hallowed halls of the Supreme Court of the Philippines. Keep us all protected, blessed, and guided by your holy light. Amen.
Thank you very much, Trustee and Treasurer Villarreal Fernando. We now call on our Trustee, Peter Irving C. Corvera, to introduce our guests.
Good morning. At this point, and you may take your seats, please. At this point, and before we formally proceed with our ceremonies, we would like to acknowledge and recognize the presence of distinguished guests who are joining today, either in person or online through our video conferencing facility. First and foremost, of course, we would like to acknowledge the presence of none other than the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the Honorable Alexander G. Gesmundo, our guest of honor and speaker who will be formally introduced later. Nonetheless, I would like to take this opportunity in behalf of the board to thank you, sir, for physically gracing our affair despite your busy schedule and the present circumstances. Deeply appreciated, Chief Justice, sir. We would also like to recognize the presence of distinguished justices of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals and other members of the judiciary who are also joining us online. I believe Supreme Court Justice Josep Lopez and the Court of Appeals Presiding Justice Remedios Salazar Fernandez and Justice Gabriel Robignol are in attendance today. And of course, the past presiding justice of the Court of Appeals in the person of Justice Romy Barsa is also present online. We're also pleased to have with us members of the Diplomatic Corps, particularly Her Excellency Mrs. Artemis Sumer, Ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to the Philippines. Thank you for your presence, ma'am. And of course, another highlight of today's activity will be the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Philippine Bar Association and the New York State Bar Association. So joining us online from New York are officers and members of the NYSBA headed by their president, T. Andrew Brown, and Mr. Edward K. Lency, the chairman of their international section. We are indeed looking forward to this partnership. Attorney Francisco Ed Lim of the Judicial Reform Initiative is also present online. Of course, I would like to recognize the presence of my fellow officers, trustees, and Council of Advisors in the Philippine Bar Association who will be inducted today, led by our incoming president, Rico V. Domingo, and all other past presidents, particularly our hardworking and outgoing President Jose Perpetuo M. Lutilla. And of course, past President Ruben Fruto is also gracing our occasion today. Today's ceremony is meaningful for all of us in the PBA as we finally get to meet in person after more than a year of Zoom meetings. We would also like to acknowledge all the other members of the PBA who are joining us online, most especially to the 66 colleagues in the profession who will be inducted into membership in the PBA today. This is a rather momentous activity, as I believe this is the largest one-time induction of new members in recent PBA history. And of course, we would also like to recognize the online presence of friends and even family who took the time off from their busy schedules to join us today. At this point, I would like to apologize if we were not able to recognize everybody and everyone individually due to the difficulty of identifying our attendees through this virtual platform. But rest assured that we definitely appreciate and value the presence of everybody here today. Thank you, and again, good morning.
Thank you very much, Trustee Peter Irving Corvera. And now to give our welcome remarks, I'd like to call on our first Vice President and Trustee, Joel Raymond R. Aison.
Mr. Chief Justice, the Honorable Alexander G. Gesmundo, fellow officers, trustees, advisors, and members of the Philippine Bar Association, our friends in the New York State Bar Association, members of the Diplomatic Corps, honored guests who are here today or are joining us via the Supreme Court Zoom link, a warm and pleasant day. Last Saturday, June 12, we celebrated 123 years of Philippine independence. Tomorrow, Saturday, June 19, we will commemorate the 160th birth anniversary of our national hero, Jose P. Rizal. This is indeed an auspicious moment to be gathered in the august chambers of the Supreme Court, where the witnessing of the virtual oath-taking of the 2021 officers, trustees, and advisors of the Philippine Bar Association, the oldest voluntary bar association of lawyers, tracing its roots to the Colegio de Abogados de Filipinas, organized in 1891. Yes, the PBA is 130 years old. We are thankful that amidst the pandemic, we can meet face to face to also witness the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement between the PBA and the New York State Bar Association International Section, and welcome to the folds of the PBA 66 young and energetic new members. We eagerly await and anticipate the Honorable Chief Justice to exhort us to remain steadfast and continue to fight for justice and uphold the rule of law. Allow me to borrow from a 1919 ponencia of then Justice Malcolm, which still rings true today. And I quote, "How far, consistently with freedom, may the right and liberties of the individual members of society be subordinated to the will of government? It is a question which has assailed the very existence of government from the beginning of time. As to the particular degree to which the legislature and the executive can go in interfering with the rights of the citizen, this is, and for a long time to come, will be impossible for the courts to determine. Thus, we must continue to be vigilant, and as we will soon be exercising our right to suffrage, the rule of law will again be challenged. Let us rise to meet that challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, First Vice President Aison. And now, to give his valedictory address, we would like to call on our outgoing President, Jose Perpetuo M. Lutilla.
The Honorable Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines, Alex Alexander G. Mundo, honored guests attending today physically as well as virtually in the various places in the world where you are. Thank you very much. There is an old poem from Robert Burns which says that the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. And that is what happened to us in this year of the pandemic. We had plans. Unfortunately, the pandemic was a factor which all of us did not foresee and which made awry all the best laid plans of mice and men. But then, to the glory and the honor of the men and women of the Philippine Bar Association, the members of the Philippine Bar Association adapted, changed their tack, and was able to rise above and beyond what happened to us during the pandemic. As the philosopher Tasio Rizal said, the men and women of the PBA did not curse the darkness, but rather lit candles to cast light. And this is what happened when the PBA, upon the inspiration of our members, specifically past President Fina Tanpico and past President Ronald Solis, as well as the inspiration of our incoming President Rico, suggested that we go into the webinars. And the first webinar that was done was mass media and the law. And the second webinar done was on telco tales. In these two webinars, the PBA sought to cast light on a rather gloomy situation brought about by the pandemic. And this, I believe, is the hallmark of the men and women of the Philippine Bar Association, that they are able to rise up in the midst of the trying times, to go forward and to prepare for a risorgimento, a renaissance. And that is what we hope to achieve and will be brought about by the incoming term of President Rico, as the stage has been set. If you will recall in history, the Black Plague in Europe, the fall of Byzantium or Constantinople in 1453 were factors that led to the Renaissance, were factors that led to the voyages of discovery that resulted in the discovery of the Philippine Islands. So with new hope and with faith that our people and the men and women of the PBA will be able to rise above all these trials, sustain the rule of law, and with the guidance of the Honorable Supreme Court, achieve what we have always sought to do in the past and what we pray for to achieve in the future. Thank you very much. Good day. Thank you for listening.
Okay, we'd like to ask our outgoing president to stay, and then if our incoming president, President Rico Domingo, to please come forward so that we can now present the award of leadership. This Distinguished Leadership Award is given to Jose Perpetuo M. Lutilla, President for the term 2019 to 2020, in profound recognition of his exemplary and resilient stewardship at this challenging moment in the nation's history as it emerges from the dreadful tempus horribilis occasioned by COVID-19 pandemic. The association bestows this award for his sturdy leadership, dedication, and commitment to the association's core values in promoting the rule of law and by infusing in the organization such energy and zeal to ensure PBA's relevance as it addressed overarching rules-based issues that confront the nation. Undeterred by the governmental quarantine restrictions imposed on in-person fellowships and events, he nonetheless oversaw a number of worthwhile projects including the holding of webinars on media and the law, is the government weaponizing the law against media, and an online art auction with indigent artists as the beneficiaries. This award is given this 18th day of June in the year of our Lord, 2021, at the Session Hall, Supreme Court of the Philippines, Manila. And now, we will now have the oath-taking and the induction of the officers, the trustees, and advisors who are physically present. Please come forward. And the Chief Justice Gismundo will be the one administering the oath.
Sound. Please. Okay. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name. Having been elected, please state your position. Of the Philippine Bar Association Incorporated. Do solemnly swear that I will perform the duties of my office in a manner that will bring honor and credit to the association and to the legal profession in continuing pursuit of its core advocacy to promote the rule of law and with dedication to the time-honored duties of a lawyer to the Constitution and the Republic of the Philippines. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all our new officers, trustees, and Council of Advisors. And now to give his inaugural address, I'd like to call on our incoming president, Mr. Rico V. Domingo.
Thank you, Rachel. The Honorable Chief Justice, Alexander G. Esmundo, Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court, of the Court of Appeals, particularly the presiding justice, Honorable Judges of the Regional Trial Court and the Metropolitan Trial Courts some of them are virtually present. Distinguished members of the Diplomatic Corps, past, present, and incoming officers and trustees, and the Council of Advisors, and members of the incoming board of the Philippine Bar Association. Members of the Academe, who we invited as well to be virtually present, in keeping with our objective to entice membership from the far-flung areas outside of Metro Manila, because we have been Metro Manila centric actually so far as an association, but we are trying to attract more members from the other, as we have seen from the 61 or 66 members, new members of this association will be inducted later on. Esteemed colleagues of the New York State Bar Association, led by Andrew, I'm sure you're around or virtually, and of course, Edward or Ed Lindsay, who would be speaking before us later on before the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding. And right now they are with us even late hours of the evening or almost midnight in New York, EST time. Good morning to everyone. At the outset, and on behalf of the Philippine Bar Association's officers, trustees, advisors, and members, I respectfully extend our profound gratitude to the Honorable Chief Justice for graciously hosting this unprecedented virtual oath-taking ceremony of the Supreme Court's session hall, no less than, Your Honor, and later on for administering our oaths of office, as you have already done. Later on, the Honorable Chief Justice will be witnessing the signing of the virtual signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with our colleagues at the New York State Bar. Thank you very much, Mr. Chief Justice. I would like to take this opportunity as well to congratulate the Chief Justice on his recent installation as the 27th Chief Justice of the Republic of the Philippines, which quite auspiciously coincides with the 120th anniversary of the Supreme Court. Congratulations, Mr. Chief Justice. Judging from the public pronouncements, and if I may quote you most of the time here, Mr. Chief Justice, since your assumption from of office 2 months ago or 3 months ago, almost 3 months ago, you gave some public pronouncements indicative of your commitment to future reforms and other measures, focusing on the speedy disposition of cases and formulation of case decongestion program. The Chief Justice stressed that the key component of speeding up the disposition of cases is by taking advantage of technological advancements and undertaking comprehensive review of court operations and processes. And one major feature of this comprehensive review is the formulation of an e-court system that will allow management of court cases online, from paying and filing to raffling and maintenance of digitized rollo or records of the case. And the plan, as your pronouncement went, is to tap artificial intelligence technology for legal research, preparation of stenographic notes, among other functions, as well as the restructuring and the reorganization and creating a centralized planning and management unit to address issues like limited access to courts. Mr. Chief Justice, we find the initiative you have so far set at this early stage of your term very, very encouraging. And our association stands ready to support you in whatever we can. Such initiatives specifically, as they relate to acceleration of the pace of the disposition of cases, aligns with our association's core advocacy since its founding in 1891 on the promotion of the rule of law. For us, the old adage goes, justice delayed is justice denied. We therefore welcome your formal invitation to partner with the Honorable Supreme Court by providing a set of measures that are critical to improving the administration of justice and promoting the rule of law. You may therefore expect us, Mr. Chief Justice, to receive, rather you may expect, Mr. Chief Justice, us to provide you a wish list that will incorporate such proposals that you have so gracefully and so welcomely given to us. And this proposal will include: one, enhancement of the security for our judges at all levels in the judiciary, and security of all the lawyers throughout the country, because we have a spate of assassinations of lawyers and judges recently, and we want to be able to help out in your addressing this very, very serious problem besetting our legal profession and the court system as well. Second, the provision for adequate resources and facilities to enable the judges to properly discharge their constitutional and statutory mandates. The third one would be measures to enhance and secure the decisional independence of the judges. And corollary to that, Mr. Chief Justice, is the appointment of an independent, non-partisan, impartial body that will conduct an extensive, confidential peer review of each prospective nominee to the bench in all levels of the judicial hierarchy to probe into his or her professional competence, integrity, and judicial temperament. You can make us your hard bodies for this, and we will be able to present to you in a very objective manner the due diligence results of our review. And that has been done in other jurisdictions, particularly in New York and the other states, and I'm sure that you would welcome the kind of initiative as well, Mr. Chief Justice. The fifth measure that we would like to include in our wish list, Mr. Chief Justice, is the access to legal services, especially in the far-flung areas of the archipelago. These would-be clients, pro bono clients, should be encouraged to come to us, and we will extend to them pro bono legal services as we can afford with our resources as well as our time. And we would like that to be also introduced and proposed to the Honorable Supreme Court as part of our wish list. And finally, we would like to ensure that access to counsel and humanitarian protections, especially for indigent children, will be given with facility and with timely, in a very timely fashion. we would put that in our wish list that you will expect in the near future. The outbreak of the pandemic occasioned by the COVID-19 in 2020, what we call tempus horribili, restricted the Philippine Bar Association sponsored in-person fellowships and events. But as our past president, Juju, mentioned, we were undeterred because the Philippine Bar Association recently held a series of webinars with themes on various national issues such as the media and the law, as mentioned by our past president. And the question is the government weaponizing the law against the media? And of course, the telco tales on the proposed nationalization of the telephone industry in the country, and the latest held on 30 April 2021 on continuing challenges in enforcement of 2016 arbitral award on the West Philippine Sea, which is co-sponsored with the Philippine chapter of the New York State Bar Association, which is headed by our chair, Ed, and at the time also James Himes, which is also is co-sponsored by the Harvard Law School Alumni Association of the Philippines. In addition to the retired former senior justice of the Supreme Court, this webinar featured international law experts from London, United Kingdom, and the New York, United Nations, courtesy of our friends from the New York State Bar Association, who lent their expertise and perspicacity on the subject matter on international arbitral tribunal dispositions. We will continue to issue statements on issues of national importance and consistent with our staunch advocacy to promote the rule of law and advance the national interests of this country for the future generations of Filipinos. We will continue to shepherd the national conversation, heighten the national consciousness and awareness of the Filipino people on rules-based issues that impact on the future generations, including our children, grandchildren, and the future generations of this country. We will intensify our efforts to assist in the implementation of the 2016 arbitral award and protection of the territorial integrity and sovereign rights vis-a-vis the Philippine or West Philippine Sea. We shall likewise endeavor to formulate a blueprint for the enforcement of the arbitral award through the United Nations and other international tribunals, of course, for the next administration to consider and hopefully adopt. As we have done in the past, the association will continue to perform its watchdog function in ensuring various statements and press releases expressing the serious concerns over Tokhang anti-drug campaign and condemning the extrajudicial killings of drug suspects and innocent persons. In fact, if you will recall, some of our members assisted the families of the victims and even supported the investigation of the current president conducted by the International Court of Tribunal. The association will liaise with international human rights groups to enforce whatever remedies the victims of human rights violations may have in international courts. Human rights violations are not confined only in this jurisdiction, for we all know that hate crimes victimizing Asians are increasingly frequent or almost exponentially increasing in other countries. That's why we would like to solicit the help as well of our brothers in the profession in the New York State in trying to ventilate these human rights issues in the future or in the very near future. And soon, as we approach the Law Day celebration in September, we'll be holding another webinar, this time on human rights, which will feature international and domestic speakers. At this juncture, because my good friend and MC is telling me perhaps I should briefly cut this. May I welcome our colleagues in the New York State Bar Association, led by President T. Andrew Brown, or Andrew, and Chairman of its international section, Edward R. Lindsay. Edward, or Ed, we welcome you to this virtual sermon. This morning's signing of the PBA NYSBA Memorandum of Understanding rekindles the professional kinship between the members of the American and Philippine bars, which dates back to 1891, or 130 years ago, and provides the compelling impetus for our collaborative endeavors between our associations in the future as we continue to pursue our common objective of promoting the rule of law, not only within the confines of respective jurisdictions, but worldwide as well, in the increasingly globalized practice of law. We therefore extend to you, Andrew and Ed, and our other members of our international chapter, who I could see on the screen would be coming from other countries in our Asia Pacific region, and too many to be mentioned right now. I extend our virtual fraternal handshake and felicitations. Mabuhay kayong lahat, or long live to you all. So may we call on the colleagues in our New York State Bar Association of the Philippines, led by Andrew and Len and Ed, to join us in signing the memorandum agreement. But before that, our MC will tell us something about the brief remarks of our distinguished guests. Thank you very much and good day.
Thank you very much, Pres Rico. I would not dare tell you to cut your speech short, but thank you for that reminder. And as mentioned by our president, we would like to hear from our colleagues from the New York State Bar, the president, T. Andrew Brown, and also Edward K. Lindsay.
Thank you. Honorable Chief Justice, distinguished members of the judiciary, and colleagues, good morning. My name is Andrew Brown. I am the president of the New York State Bar Association. It is indeed an honor to be with you this morning. I want to thank Mr. Rico Domingo, chair of the Philippines chapter of the international section and incoming president of the Philippine Bar Association, and I wish you the best in the coming year. I am indeed honored that you and your colleagues are here today, giving us this wonderful opportunity. I thank outgoing President Jose Petuo Latia for your exemplary leadership, and congratulations on your past year. I'm also grateful and appreciative of the efforts of New York State Bar Association's international section and its chair, Ed Lindsay. And congratulations to all those being inducted today. I want to take a moment and say a little bit about the history of the New York State Bar Association. The association is the oldest and largest voluntary state bar association in the United States. Founded in 1876, the association has been the voice of the legal profession in New York State for almost 150 years. The mission of our association is to shape the development of law, educate and inform the public, and respond to the demands of the diverse and ever-changing legal profession. Association members are located across the state of New York, across the United States, and indeed the world. Most importantly, our association advocates for state and federal legislation and works tirelessly to promote equal access to justice for all. I would also like to take a moment to briefly speak to the role that the association has played in supporting New York attorneys throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. The association quickly developed the technological capacity to produce dozens of online continuing legal education courses to help our members, attorneys, stay informed and educated on relevant legal and policy developments throughout the COVID-19 crisis. This shows the importance of a bar association to its members and the support that organizations such as ours can play in advocating for and supporting lawyers. International agreements such as the one signed today are important. We have the opportunity to educate and help each other. We have a platform through which to work together and strengthen the legal profession and our respective organizations. Over the past several years, our association has become more focused on global outreach, looking for ways to bring lawyers across the world together, to be a hub for lawyers everywhere. As technology has connected the world, we seized the opportunity to give and increase cooperation among lawyers everywhere. The global pandemic has only heightened that need for international cooperation. Cities, states, and entire nations have undergone rolling shutdowns, some ongoing. Many of us have experienced dark times, loved ones ill, isolation, frustration, fatigue. In some nations, the rule of law is being questioned. The rule of law is the bedrock principle of a civil society. It is our foundation as lawyers. It is the basis of our shared mission and our shared values as lawyers, advocating for the rights of citizens and the realization of social justice, advocating for and protecting fundamental human rights, promoting reform in the law where needed, working in the public interest, and advocating for the rule of law. We lawyers have a vital role to play in ensuring that our free and democratic societies remain free and democratic. That is why we are here today. Our declaration of friendship and the steps we take toward cooperation will reinforce these values and move us forward as we work to fulfill our missions. It is important now more than ever that we build bridges. These past 16 months have taught us that we are not alone and that we cannot behave as though we are. I am proud and privileged to sign today as president this memorandum of understanding between the New York State Bar Association and the Philippine Bar Association. The signing of the document is but the beginning of a strong relationship that will benefit and grow both of our historic and important organizations. I am grateful for the opportunity to be here today. It is my honor. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Ed Lenzi, the chair of the international section of the New York State Bar Association. I echo Andrew's greetings and thanks to those in attendance, especially the Chief Justice and Mr. Rico Domingo. I've been blessed to have had the opportunity to travel to many lands over the years and enjoy in those lands the architecture, the landscape, and the cuisine, among other things. But the greatest blessing by far, the greatest blessing, was the people I met and the friends I made in those lands over the years. I'm honored to sign this memorandum of understanding with the Philippine Bar Association. I hope to be able to travel to the Philippines in the not too distant future to enjoy the landscape, the architecture, the cuisine, and the history, but most of all, to meet the people and make some new friends. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President of the New York Bar, T. Andrew Brown, and Chairman of the International Section of the New York State Bar Association, Edward K. Lency. So now we move on to the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding. And may we ask the officers, trustees, and advisors to please join our President, Rico Domingo, in signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, and also the Honorable Chief Justice to join us as well. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much, Chief Justice, for joining us in the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding. Thank you very much, trustees, officers, and advisors of the Philippine Bar Association. And thank you very much, of course, to the New York State Bar Association for having this Memorandum of Understanding with the Philippine Bar Association. So now we move on to our next item in our program, and that is the induction of our 66 new members. Again, may I call on our President, Rico Domingo, to please come in front and to administer the oath. In the same time, we will be reading the names and also flashing the screens of all those 66 new members. Welcome, and thank you very much for joining the Philippine Bar Association.
As Rachel mentioned, we have about, and of course, Vice President Peter said, we have about 66 new admittees or members of this association, which is unprecedented. One-time number of 66 members. And perhaps the high-profile presence of the association has somehow increased the interest of would-be members to be part of this association as well. So without much ado, may I request the 66 new admittees and members to be inducted. And please raise your hands and repeat after me. Oath of membership. I, your name, having been accepted a member of the Philippine Bar Association, Incorporated, do solemnly swear to promote the objectives of the association, defend the rule of law, and uphold the lawyer's oath. So help me God. Then we will provide you with the signed signature. The signed copies of your oath of membership. And we send it to you by mail or through personal delivery. It will be signed by yours truly as president and our secretary and trustee, Ian Ray P. Malilong. Thank you very much and welcome to our association. And you will be hearing from us several times from now on. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Rico. So just to recognize the 66 new members, please indulge me and please, I will go through their names quickly. Congratulations and welcome to Marie Judith Joanne B. Encarnacion, Anne Marie Pagtabunan, Jeffrey B. Constantino, Christia Lorraine V. Carinal, Pearl Cherise D. Bautista, Lara Carina S. Tuason, Dean Francisco Xavier A. Del Rosario Jr., Dean Alshuid De Leon Ismael, Deogracias M. Natividad, Patrick M. Sarmiento, Roberto Paulo R. Suarez, Sherwin C. De Hoya, Herbert Calvin de la Peña Abugan, Joseph L. Banguis, Deodar Lovell C. Bautista, John Robert B. Beltahar, John Noel R. Cruz, Darren M. De Jesus, Dan Marco R. Del Rosario, Van Leroy C. De Vesa, John Darrell C. Di Maculangan, Rex D. Lampa, Virgil Maverick B. Lastimosa, Jose Martin A. Luon, Ryan Anthony S. Mallet, Narciso Pinario Jr., James Brian J. Tan, Amado E. Tayag, Carl Eugene A. Umeres, Maria Raquel Carmeli T. Palma Vihar, Jean Benalder Ruth M. Yaneza, Aloysius R. Yebra, Gladys Cagadok Velasco, Raul Creencia, Edwin Carillo, Amapola Bulusan, Judge Eduardo Cruz Saplala, Antonio Rafael B. Umkiko, Jose Miguel Solis, Jessie Pauline Solis, Audrey Nicole Nang, Julio Palma Gil Bucoy, Jose Antonio Rafael G. Santos, Kevin Paulo M. Hernandez, Jaime Manuel A. Fausto, Josine Alexandra S. Gamboa, Jane Marie Bianca B. Carillo, Agatha Josephine V. Matabuena, Rainier Paul R. Yebra, Anson T. Lapus Yebra, Paulo S. Selva, Paulo E. Campos Jr., Roel V. Canovas, Rolando T. Ligon Jr., Shannon A. C., Ian Norman Datu, Francesca Del Barrio Alcance, Maria A. Yanugasio Cabuteja, Maria Graciela C. Cabarrubias, Clarica Angela C. Garcia, Karen Barbara M. Orio, Kathleen Feliz Constance D. Tantuico, Joel Napoleon M. Coronel, Attorney Sandra Maria G. Olaso Coronel, Patrick De Luna Maglinaw, Senen Agustin S. De Santos. Congratulations and welcome to the Philippine Bar Association. Excuse me. All right, so next in our program is the introduction of our guest of honor and key speaker. I would like to call our past president, Ruben O. Fruto.
The Honorable Chief Justice Alexander Ismundo, the Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals who are virtually in attendance, and the other members of the judiciary, PBA President Rico Domingo, President Andrew Brown of the New York Bar Association, Chairman Edward Lenzi, Chairman of the International Section of the New York Bar Association, the officers, members, Board of Trustees, advisors of the Philippine Bar Association and its members in attendance, members of the Diplomatic Corps, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning here in Manila and evening there abroad. The task of introducing the guest of honor and keynote speaker this morning would be sufficiently completed by simply announcing, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Honorable Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines. But that would not do justice to his honor. The first among equals who heads a system of courts that upholds the law and ensures that justice is accessible to all. However, introducing somebody that needs no introduction is a daunting task. Nonetheless, I must proceed with my assigned task. From obscurity to national and international prominence. Let me repeat that. From obscurity to national and international prominence. That about sums up the life of our guest of honor and keynote speaker. He saw the light of day on November 6, 1956, in the town of San Pablo, now a city in the province of Laguna, south of Metro Manila, to Juan A. Hismundo, a farmer, and Sinaida Argajon, a public school teacher. Before joining government, he worked as a research analyst from 1977 to 1979 with the Business Day Corporation, publisher of the Philippines' leading business newspaper, wherein some of his articles were published. In 1979, he joined the Office of the Australian Trade Commissioner, Australian Embassy in Manila, as Market Research Officer, and then promoted as Marketing Officer, and he worked there until 1985. In short, he was a working student who graduated with a Bachelor's of Law degree in 1984 from the Ateneo de Manila University, one of the leading law schools in the country. He took and passed the bar examinations in April of 1985. Barely 3 months after passing the bar, he joined the government service in August of 1985 as a trial attorney in the office of the Solicitor General. There was no stopping him after that. He was awarded the most outstanding solicitor in 1988. Then in August of 2002, he was promoted to Assistant Solicitor General. And because of his outstanding record, he was on seconded appointment from July 17, 1988 to February 15, 2001 as Commissioner of the Presidential Commission on Good Government, the Philippines quasi-judicial government agency whose primary mandate is to recover ill-gotten wealth accumulated by Ferdinand Marcos, his immediate family, relatives, subordinates, and close associates, whether located in the Philippines or abroad. On October 15, 2005, our guest of honor was appointed Associate Justice of the Sandigan Bayan, the special collegiate court having jurisdiction over criminal and civil cases involving graft and corrupt practices and other offenses committed by public officers and employees, including those in government-owned or controlled corporations. Subsequently, he served as the chairperson of the court's 7th Division and co-chairperson of the court's Committee on Rules. Aside from his heavy workload in the Sandigan Bayan, he was also a member of the Corps of Professors of the Philippine Judicial Academy and vice chairperson of said Academy's Department of Remedial Law. Perhaps confirming what Epictetus, a Greek philosopher, once said, that I quote, "Only the educated are free," unquote. He did not content himself to be just an outstanding jurist. He joined the academy to mold and educate future members of the noble profession of law. He became a sought-after professor and taught various remedial law subjects at the College of Law of his alma mater, of Perpetual Health, the University of Santo Tomas, and the Pamantasan Lungsod ng Pasay. And in 2009 and 2015, he was the bar examiner on remedial law. And in recognition of his sterling services in the judiciary, he was appointed Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines on August 14, 2017. In the Supreme Court, the star of our guest of honor and keynote speaker shone even brighter. Among many other responsibilities, he became the chairperson of the Technical Working Group for the Revision of the Law Student Practice Rule and the Organizing Committee for the 2019 Legal Education Summit, vice chairperson of the Committee for the Rules of Procedure for Admiralty cases, and the Committee on the Revision of the 1997 Rules of Civil Procedure. He was also a member of the Committee for the Revision of the Rules of Court, of the Committee on Continuing Legal Education, the Committee on Speedy Trial, and many other committees and subcommittees. In line with what Aristotle had said, that I quote, "Education is an ornament in prosperity and a refuge in adversity," unquote. He found time to continue to educate himself. In that quest for further education, our guest of honor participated in various international events and study tours abroad. Among these are the 2019 Global Alliance for Justice Education in Bandung, Indonesia, the International Refugee Law Course in San Remo, Italy, Justice Section Coordinating Council Study Tour in Spain and France, learning visit to Canberra, Sydney, and Melbourne, Australia, to strengthen the anti-corruption expertise of the Supreme Court and the Sandigan Bayan. Also, American Association of Law Schools Conference on Clinical Education in San Francisco, California, USA, a learning visit to observe the legal services of Harvard Law School, Georgetown University, and Suffolk University School of Law, in addition to a study tour on speedy disposition of cases at the U.S. State Department in Washington, D.C., and in Virginia, all in the USA. He also participated in study visits to the United Kingdom, Tokyo, Japan, Bangkok, Thailand, and workshops on various subjects. He also attended in Korea and Germany to further broaden his knowledge on the improvement of the administration of justice. And taking a break from his official duties, our guest of honor participated as co-chairman of the final board of judges in Metrobank Foundation's annual search for outstanding Filipinos in August of 2019. Abraham Lincoln at one time said, and I quote, "I will study and prepare myself, and someday my chance will come," unquote. Our guest of honor truly studied, prepared himself to the fullest. Unexpectedly, he has arrived. His day has come. On April 5, 2021, he was appointed by the President as the 27th Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines. After 36 years of public service, with more than a decade and a half served on the judiciary prior to his promotion, our guest of honor assumes the awesome task of leading the third branch of the Philippine government, a position coveted by many lawyers. But despite his sterling achievements, our guest of honor remains ever humble and lives in simplicity. And as the English theologian Jesus Hare has written, and I quote, "The greatest truth are the simplest, and so are the greatest men," unquote. And as echoed by the English jurist and historian John Selby, and I quote, "Humility is a virtue all preach, none practice, and yet everybody is content to hear," unquote. Our guest of honor speaker does not preach humility. He practices it every day of his life, despite his innumerable exceptional accomplishments. I do not know if our guest of honor during his bachelor days exercised to the fullest a bachelor's inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the happiness of pursuit. But if he did, his days of happy pursuit ended when he met the then Miss Lynn Magpantay and wasted no time in bringing her to the altar of matrimony. The union brought forth a son and two daughters. He and his predecessor, the retired Chief Justice Justado Peralta, have one thing in common. His predecessor has two sons who are twins. Our guest of honor, the successor, has two daughters who are also twins. His son is named Alastair, his firstborn, a dashing young trial attorney who took after his father's looks and love of the law and now works in the U.S. Department of Justice. His twin daughters, Ashley Nicole, a managerial economics graduate, and Alison Arden, an accounting graduate. Both daughters are successful in their chosen careers abroad. And as you can see, all of the first names of his children, like that of their father, also start with the letter A. Now you know who is the boss in the family. Our guest of honor is a doting father who taught his children the values of hard work, discipline, and perseverance. A hands-on dad, he is both a disciplinarian and an educator at the same time. But he disciplines with love, and his eyes glisten with happiness and pride every time he is surrounded by his children, all grown-ups now, but who are never embarrassed to hug or walk arm in arm with their dad in public. Unknown to many, he is a devout Catholic. He observes the Lenten season with utmost devotion, going to his hometown every year to attend the holy prayers and procession. And despite his no-smile look in his photographs, he is not a snob as the public might perceive him to be. He is a jolly fellow who enjoys the company of his good friends, and he values true friendship. At this juncture, the words of Albert Camus, the French writer and Nobel Prize winner for literature, come to mind, and I quote, "Some people talk in their sleep. Lecturers talk while other people sleep," unquote. Before I put you all to sleep, I will tarry no longer. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor and great pleasure to present to you an outstanding jurist and Renaissance magistrate, a Catholic gentleman whose humility is matched only by his greatness, an exemplary public servant of unquestioned integrity, and a devoted family man. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines, the Honorable Alexander G. Quismondo.
Please be seated. Thank you very much, Attorney Ruben, for that introduction. Attorney Jose Perpetuo M. Lutilla, outgoing President, Philippine Bar Association. Attorney Rico B. Domingo, incoming President, Philippine Bar Association. Andrew Brown, Esquire, President, New York State Bar Association. Edward K. Lency, Esquire, Chairman, International Section, New York State Bar Association. Attorney Joel Raymond R. Aison, First Vice President, Philippine Bar Association. Attorney Rachel Eileen S. Santos, Second Vice President, Philippine Bar Association. Attorney Peter Irving Corbera, Second Vice President, Philippine Bar Association. Members of the Board of Trustees and members of the Philippine Bar Association in attendance in person and via video conference. Justice Joseph Lopez joining us via Zoom, together with PJ Remedios Salazar Fernando of the Court of Appeals. Court of Appeals Justice Gabriel Rebeñol, former Supreme Court Justice Francis Hardelesa, former PJ of the Court of Appeals Romy Barza. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Throughout its existence, the Philippine Bar Association has witnessed a spectrum of political and social upheavals in our country. From wars to peaceful revolutions, through calamities, disasters, and the pandemic, the PBA has survived with confident and proud, unscathed by scandal and disgrace. For nearly a century, it has remained constant, unwavering in its mission to see the rule of law ensconced in our country. Spurred by this mission, the PBA figured prominently in our legal consciousness, if only for the select cases they bring to court involving controversial issues of the day. But while the rule of law has always been equated with supremacy of the Constitution and the laws, it also comprehends respect for legal processes through which justice is served by the courts. These processes are the only acceptable means with which the supremacy of laws may be achieved. It is now on this aspect that the court focuses its attention. Just a year ago, we amended the Rules of Civil Procedure, and in Rule 7, Section 3 thereof, emphasized the important role of lawyers play in our legal processes. The lawyer's signatures signifies or certifies upon the courts that the case is filed not for any improper purpose. By signing the pleading, he attests that the claims, defenses, and other legal contentions are warranted under existing laws or by an argument for modifying or reversing existing jurisprudence. Should it be found otherwise, the courts will not hesitate to sanction the lawyer or even the law firm responsible for the violation. By incorporating this in our rules, we hope to put a stop to the wrongful practice of giving our people false hopes through the filing of cases which serve no purpose but to clog the dockets of our courts. In so doing, both of us, judges and law practitioners, put back the trust of our people in the justice system. All our courts too have amended the rules or rationalized their procedures in order to respond to the problem of delay in the dispensation of justice. The Supreme Court itself has embarked a case decongestion program and toward this end amended its internal rules in order to be able to comply with the constitutional mandate of 2 years for the resolution of cases. We are also in the process of amending our rules of criminal procedure in the service of arrest and search warrants. Here, we are contemplating to integrate the use of by the police of body-worn cameras in the implementation of warrants with due regard, of course, to the rights of persons involved. The pandemic has likewise confronted us with a challenge that threatened to halt or at least slow down the dispensation of justice. Nobody could have thought that something so small would change the world. Boldly, the court faced this challenge head-on and concerned with the health and safety not only of judges and court employees, but also litigants and lawyers. We approved the use of video conferencing to replace face-to-face hearings. In harmony with the changing times, we intend to make full use of technology to promote efficiency in our processes. With the support of the other members of the court, I plan to set up an e-court system to enhance the court workflow processes and increase virtual access to the courts. This system hopes to cover the whole process from the filing of complaints to the promulgation and execution of judgment. I am optimistic that this program will speed up the resolution of cases in courts. These are just some of the reforms in our legal processes, which the court has undertaken or will undertake to make sure that justice is not only accessible, but also speedy and consequently inexpensive. As I updated myself on your endeavors, I became aware of the PBA's laudable activities, such as the conduct of free webinars, the organization of an online art auction for fundraising, and almost nearly the hosting of a debate on a topic of national importance. Perhaps the PBA, through the same medium, can raise the knowledge and understanding of our people in our legal processes, which try to maintain the delicate balance of protecting individual rights and dispensing justice expeditiously. Let me thus involve you, law practitioners of the PBA, as vanguards of our legal system to support the court in these programs so that by helping our people understand the legal processes, we can achieve a full and popular adherence to the rule of law in our country. In response to the inaugural speech of Attorney Rico Domingo, the Supreme Court will surely appreciate receiving your wish list so that we may consider them in our reform initiatives. Congratulations to the new set of elected officers, trustees, and council of advisors of the PBA and its members. Thank you very much and Godspeed.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice Gizmundo. We request, please, if you can stay for a few moments in front And we call on our President, Rico Domingo, to present
That's your pen.
our certificate of recognition and appreciation, and also our PBA pin. This certificate of recognition and appreciation is given to the Honorable Alexander G. Gesmundo, Chief Justice, Supreme Court of the Republic of the Philippines, in grateful recognition and appreciation of his gracious acceptance of the association's warm invitation to be its guest of honor, keynote speaker, and inducting officer during the virtual oath-taking and inauguration of its officers, Board of Trustees, and Council of Advisors. His firm commitment to improve the administration and swift delivery of impartial justice through the expeditious disposition of cases and the decongestion of court dockets, his vision of a technology-driven judiciary where the core values of judicial independence and the rule of law stand supreme, as well as his consistent adherence to transparency, will continue to be a constant source of inspiration and faith in our judicial system, given this 18th day of June in the year of our Lord, 2021, at the Session Hall of the Supreme Court of the Philippines, Manila. Thank you again and congratulations. And may we request our President, Rico Domingo, to please stay and formally adjourn our session today.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the officers, as well as the Council of Advisors, I call this program adjourned.
Thank you very much, President Rico. Again, thank you very much to those who attended. I am Rachel Santos, and I thank you for joining us this morning. Please have a pleasant day. And also for those from the New York State Bar Association, a pleasant good night to all of you.
Good night.